with Glenn Spillman and Charlton Curry. This is Epic Sports Radio.
Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton Curry with Glenn Spillman, and we're here talking with Big C coming up. We also have an in-studio guest. Her name is Stacey Harris. We're talking Epic Sports Radio every Wednesday at 4 o'clock p.m. on Money 105.5. We talk NFL football. We talk college football, Glenn.
Yep.
Some NBA basketball, even some MMA. So, Glenn, before we kick it into Big C, go right to you, sir.
You know, I want to, say something. You know, the holidays are coming up. This past weekend, went out and we fed the homeless and we did an outreach. Now, I encourage people to go to YouTube and look at our channel, Epic News Sports, and watch what we did and help us out with that.
Yes.
And not only do they need to be fed, but they also need socks, blankets, sleeping bags, stuff to keep them warm. And we need to help out with the outreach and bless these people with your blessings out there. And I also want to thank our sponsor, Buns Sports Pub and Grub. They're located at 311 Judah Street in Roseville. You can give them a call at 916-786-6655. And if you mention that you heard about it on Epic Sports Radio, they will give you $2 off drafts, off of house wine, and off of well drinks. And also tonight, go check them out because they have Wing Wednesdays, 1 pound of wings for $5.25.
$5.25?
That's what I said, brother, $5.25.
Man, that's a lot of chicken.
You know what? I'll eat 2 pounds. Well, forget about it. I'll eat 3 pounds.
And also, I want to say, number one, our hearts go out to all the victims of the Paris attacks. We know that that's a horrible thing that happened.
Yes.
There's a price to pay for freedom. We just hope that everyone keeps their cool for the holidays. And speaking of cool, before we get into Big C, Glenn, I know everyone's been listening to Trent Dilfer because Cam Newton, obviously they're undefeated. He's going to feel a little bit proud of what he does on the football field.
Yes.
And some of the antics, and Big C, I'll bring you in on this too, but I heard Chris Carter talking earlier on the ESPN network, also Trent Dilfer. Trent's a little bit old school.
Very much.
Played at Fresno State under Jim Sweetie. Also won an NFL championship, the Super Bowl, with his cohort on ESPN, and that's Ray Lewis, who was one of the biggest celebratory reactions in players in the history of the NFL. Big C, is that just players talking about players, older players talking about young players? What are your thoughts on the celebration?
I think Trent is posturing himself just because he's on television, but I want to take a step back. When you talk about a price for freedom, I want to congratulate the late Yogi Berra and Willie Mays for receiving the Presidential Medal for Freedom. They're going to receive them at the 24th of November at the White House. And we all grew up watching Willie Mays, and he's been a great icon in the Bay Area for decades. And just want to send out great congratulations to them. But back to the point you were talking about with Trent Dilfer. He played with one of the most celebratory pregame performers in NFL history.
Yes.
He was in the same locker room with this guy. He never chastised him. He's on the same television set with this same guy. He never chastised him. Football, the NFL at times stands for the no fun league. And what Cam Newton did last Sunday, I was in awe of Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Because I was a defensive player for years on every level. And as a defensive player, if you don't want to see these celebratory situations going on in the end zone, keep him out of the end zone.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not as easy as you think. But keep him out of the end zone. So these guys who want to roll up post-celebration and say, hey, what you're doing is classless, no, it's total class. What you're doing is classless by you getting paid and letting this guy get into the end zone.
Yeah, you know what? Everybody else does. You know, running backs, receivers, all that. But, you know, they think a quarterback should have a little bit more poise. Cam Newton has always been animated. I've got no problem with what he does. When you do something good, celebrate it, man.
Well, I think
Glenn, look at Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, Aaron
Rodgers.
Discount double check. I mean,
Yes.
he walks around putting his championship belt around his waist for years.
Yes, he does.
No one ever blasted Aaron Rodgers. Is it okay? If Aaron Rodgers can do it, why can't Cam Newton do it? And
Exactly.
Cam Newton is 8-0. So, I mean, if any quarterback in the NFL can celebrate, he can.
That's right. Put up or shut up, man.
And talk about putting up, Big C. As we get into the NFL, I know we had some great games last week. Also, a few more incidents with the officiating.
So,
if you're a New York Giants fan, Glenn,
yes,
I know the Giants, what a great game. We called it to be a great game. The Giants have beaten the Patriots 3 of the last times they played.
Oh, yeah. They
And
have their number.
They had their number, but Tom Brady, got to tip your hat to him. I know we do it all the time, but he earned it. On a fourth down, they picked up the first down to keep the drive going. But Big C, that was a play that could have been called a touchdown after, again, being reviewed by the officials and the guys from New York. They called it incomplete. May have cost the Giants. Your thoughts on that?
Well, it goes back to the Dez Bryant rule. If you go back a couple of years ago when the Cowboys were playing the Packers in Lambeau, and Dez Bryant caught the ball, went to the ground, and it came out. But even a year before that, Calvin Johnson made a catch against the Chicago Bears. He went down to the ground with one hand with the ball, and he came up, and the ball wasn't in his hand, even though it was a clear catch. So when we look at this situation in New York with Odell Beckham the other night, catching the ball, putting 2 steps down, is which constitutes a catch in the NFL. But there was even more of an atrocity in the Jacksonville-Baltimore game.
Yes.
Where you had players with 1 second on the clock, never got set. So there was an illegal formation, illegal motion. The ball was snapped. Elvis Dumerville gets a face mask penalty, and the Ravens lose the game. You know, at what level do the officials start getting fined and reprimanded for their ineptitude on the field that is costing people on a week-by-week basis, not just teams, but we all know that Vegas has a hand in the NFL, and people who are laying big money on these games and betting, but as your record is shunned by these officials and you don't make the playoffs, your chance for a championship is out the window.
I call it conspiracy theory, man, because, you know, they want the Golden Boy to go undefeated. They want them to be the legacy and to kind of overshadow what the Dolphins did. And you know what? If everyone at home could see 2 steps, catch, a football move, the rules say if you make a football move, it's a catch. It's possession. But when they make a mistake like that, it's like you said, it's an atrocity.
Okay, but Glenn and Big C, what do you call 2 steps? Because they're saying it's 3.
If you have possession of the football, and they say you have to make a football move, it's not taking 2 clear steps, a football move. And Glenn, I want to touch on the point you talked about the Golden Boy. Roger Goodell does not want Tom Brady to go undefeated.
No.
That is the last thing he wants to see come February.
Yeah, because that will be a slap in his face.
Tom Brady a Super Bowl trophy.
Now, Big C, what would make you say that?
I mean, he's been embarrassed. He's been defeated by Tom Brady. You know, Roger Goodell came in, I'm the sheriff.
Yep.
Whatever I say is go. I'm judge, jury, hangman.
Dictator,
and that's what he did to so many players in the NFL. And by doing that, you put a lot of teams' records in jeopardy.
Oh, yeah.
Because you knock out key players out of the game. I remember sitting in the Garden years ago, and I was sitting in the corner, and the Knicks were playing the Celtics.
Yes.
The Celtics were in town. This is when Bernard King was lighting up the NBA as a
Bernard King, yep.
And Larry Bird got his second foul within 3 minutes of the game. And he turned to the ref right in front of us. You think they came here to see you call effing fouls, or they came here to see me score points?
Well, you're right.
Larry didn't get another call the rest of the night.
There you go.
Are you trying to say that Larry Bird has some pull with the NBA officials?
Exactly.
He had some clout.
I think he still has a clout when you think about that. And speaking of clout, we go back to Brady real quick. Over 3,000 yards passing. He's leading the NFL as a quarterback. But there's a big game coming up, Big C. And I know you've talked about both of these great quarterbacks. Carson Palmer at home in Arizona under the dome. And they have Dalton coming in. They just had maybe a game they overlooked against J.J. Watt and also the Houston Texans. What are your thoughts on this matchup that could be a preview to Super Bowl 50 in San Francisco?
Well, I looked at the game last week up in Seattle, and there was a defense once called the Legion of Boom. I think that was
Legion of who?
Something like that. Carson Palmer hung about 350 yards on him. He beat him like a drum. So the only thing they heard was boom, boom, boom from the drum being beat over him. Right now, Seattle can't cover a bed with a sheet.
Yeah.
So nobody's worried about him. Carson Palmer is hot. I mean, he's going to roll into Cincinnati. I hated to see Cincinnati lose last week because that's the first time in NFL history that 3 teams went 7 games into the season undefeated.
Yes.
But right now, the Arizona Cardinals with Bruce Arians at head coach, their defense is phenomenal.
We
give the offense great credence, but their defense is phenomenal on that backside.
Yeah, they play with an attitude.
Yeah, you think the Cardinals are going to cover the 5 points that they got?
I really right now just like what the Cardinals are doing overall, Glenn. I mean, you have to respect Carson Palmer.
Oh, wow.
This is a guy that has played with a lot of adversity throughout his career. He had some good teams when he was in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
But injuries thwarted him in a loss to the Steelers in the playoffs when they beat the Cardinals in the playoffs years back.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That was his time. Right now is Carson Palmer's time again. I think it's this year or no more years for Carson Palmer to get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you know what? And I think, if they do, I think they're going to win. Plain and simple. No matter. Well, you know what?
Offense and defense.
And it's going to be. Even if the Patriots go undefeated until the Super Bowl, is it going to be a repeat of what happened between them in New York with the Cardinals?
But would that not be an ideal matchp?
It would be.
Two teams
It would
with
be.
solid running games, great wide receivers. Even though the Patriots lost Edelman last week,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I would not be surprised to see them sign Wes Welker, who is out there on the free agent market.
Ooh,
He knows
even though
his
they
offense,
had that
he
little
knows Tom
drama.
Brady.
Well, if anyone can bring him in and put him under control, it'd be Belichick. He's done it. As long as they keep Brady healthy,
Yeah.
and they have Gronkowski, their offense will flow because those are two unstoppable players when we talk about the New England Patriots, Glenn.
Let me give you another statistics about the Patriots that people, Brady's always going to get all the praise.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They've had 17 different, count them, 17 different offensive line combinations through 8 games. No other team in history could do that and be 8-0 other than Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots.
Well,
Yeah.
Belichick, he's a master at putting teams together. I mean, you have to look at people like Belichick, Bill Walsh, even Tom Landry. And when you talk about some of the greatest coaches ever, obviously he's still making it happen. But the Patriots, as long as they have that guy at the helm, I think they're going to do great, Glenn.
Yeah, I really do. And even though that it's kind of tainted a little bit because they had Spygate before they had Deflategate, and it's a little bit tainted, but you can't deny him some of the things. He's a little sneaky, but you know what? He is great.
But if you're not cheating in the NFL, you're not trying also.
Let me touch up on this. Glenn, you talked about Spygate.
Yes, I do.
There's not a professional football player that walks out onto a field that 85% of the time, pre-snap, doesn't know what the offense or the defense is running. You know it. You spend too much time in class, in film studies, all week long.
Yep.
Stealing a signal, they steal signals in high school.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't make any difference. You can walk up to the line and tell somebody where you're going. If they can't stop you, they can't stop you. It's just like the Cam Newton celebration.
Yes.
Stop me. If you don't want me to do this, stop me.
Well, he also won a national championship at Auburn. But as we go into the next game, in the next 2.5 minutes, Big C, in the NFC, we look at the Minnesota Vikings who came to Oakland and had them. I mean, Adrian Peterson, can't say enough about him. I think you did say he would have a big game, over 200 yards rushing against the Raiders defense, which is a little bit soft. But now they're at home against Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Will the Packers go 0-3 for the last 3 games, Big C?
The Packers have problems offensively, and it's not just Aaron Rodgers. They don't have any wide receivers that can separate. That's when they lost Jordy Nelson, they thought they could fill that in, but they just don't have any speed or any receivers with confidence. When James Jones is your number one receiver, and the guy probably runs about a 4.8 nowadays, you're going to have problems offensively. And it's caught up with them. Lacey's been hurt at running back.
Yes.
The offensive line has not been solid. It's almost like holding gauze up in front of a semi saying, come on through.
Right.
And so Rodgers really hasn't had the time to be comfortable in the pocket. Unlike the Vikings, Norv Turner has done a masterful job, as I spoke about a couple of weeks ago with this offense.
Yes.
They have Mike Wallace. They have Pitts, Henderson at wide receiver.
Yes.
They got a great tight end. But Adrian Peterson, the man runs with an attitude. And I can't remember the college that he came from. But
wait a
he's
second,
one
brother.
heck of
I
a
think it was
running back.
Texas, wasn't it? Texas?
Down with
Oklahoma.
the horns. Boomer Sooner, baby.
Everyone knows that Glenn went to OU, and they stick together.
That's right.
And so when you talk about in the next minute that we have, Big C, Peterson has 961 yards rushing on the season. We know he sat out a season. Trad Johnson for Arizona, also dominant, 734 yards. And then Gurley with the Rams at 709 yards. If there is a chance, and Glenn knows the point spread's pretty close, if there is a chance for Green Bay to win this game, we know that Rodgers is a little bit injured. What would you say would be their opportunity going in and stealing this game, Big C?
The only opportunity they have is that their defensive backs can step up, maybe get a pick or two against Teddy Bridgewater. But he plays such a manageable game at quarterback. He's not going to take any chances that are going to try to put his team in a bad situation, and especially when you have Adrian Peterson in the backfield.
Yeah.
You only have to throw the ball 1 out of every 3 plays that you run. So their run-to-pass ratio right now is very good. And so I don't see Green Bay with an opportunity to win this game. I think they're still reeling because they don't have a running game. And in the NFL, if you don't have a running game, you have to throw the ball all the time, and you're not going to be successful. I mean, that's what has happened to the Atlanta Falcons. They started out the season 5-0.
Yes.
And they've fallen off a cliff. Their running game has suffered. They had the league's leading rusher during that time. And now he's down to third, but Matt Ryan just seems unsettled in the pocket.
He's definitely unsettled. And you're listening to Epic Sports Radio every Wednesday at 4 o'clock p.m. on Money 105.5 nationwide with the app. We'll come back and we'll talk more NFL football on Epic Sports Radio. Introducing a new generation of health and wellness, revolutionized and individualized. A company bold enough to ask why to the traditional way, who honors uniqueness of each individual and is committed to redefining the health and wellness industry through unmatched quality. Welcome to ID Life. Take your free ID Life assessment today. You're unique, so don't settle for cookie-cutter supplements. Join the ID Life movement today at pathtowellness.idlife.com. Contact Kim Cassetta, 916-996-1037.
Rescue Sports Water is the first water that has been fused with 50 milligrams of potassium, which can help prevent muscle cramping and more. It still has that smooth taste. For more information, go to rescuesportswater.com.
At Gamble Insurance Agency, we put the odds in your favor. We handle most or all of your insurance needs and act as your insurance advisor. We will put together a suitable buying strategy with your financial future in mind. We are an independent farmers agency. Call Kit Gamble for a free farmers-friendly review of your insurance policy at 530-772-5041. That is 530-772-5041. If you're a homeowner and you're struggling with your mortgage payments, if your bank is giving you the runaround and you can't get a loan modification and attorneys are simply too expensive, contact NFA.
First, let's note that NFA has received a certification of registration from the California Attorney General's office and has a bond on file with Secretary of State as required by law. NFA will inform homeowners of what their projected income and expenses and other info needs to be to have the best chance of receiving a loan mod. We will recommend qualifying income and expenses that will get them pre-qualified.
If your loan company is giving you the runaround and attorneys are simply too expensive, contact NFA at 916-896-5757. That is 916-896-5757.
X-Life Power Boards is revolutionizing the way you travel. Our boards are intelligent, innovative, and empowering. These boards feature Bluetooth speaker, 2 motors, Samsung long life battery. They are waterproof and dustproof, and they are faster than most models out there on the market. And you can buy a board for as low as $72 a month. So come join us at X-Life and get a board. Live free, ride free. XLPowerboards.com.
Money 105.5, Money105.5.biz. Money 105.5 with Epic Sports Radio.
Welcome back to the show. My name is Charlton Curry with my partner Glenn Spillman and Big C on the phone talking NFL and college football. As we finish up on the NFL, we have Big Glenn. And Glenn, we know you love point spreads, and you're going to talk about some of the teams, and we're going to give our picks, as we also have a guest in studio. Go ahead, Glenn.
Yeah, you know what? First off, I want to give a shout-out to Jeff Copley up in Cameron Park. People are tweeting us live as we're doing the show, so we want to say thank you for listening and hello. And you know what? I want to say thank you again to Bun Sports Pub and Grub.
Yes.
Go check them out tonight. Wing Wednesdays, a pound of wings for $5.25.
A pound?
A pound, man. That's a lot of chicken, and I've seen people eat a few pounds of those things, man.
They're
but
awesome.
we have Stacey Marie in studio. She is our version of Rachel Nichols, but you know what? We're going to go with some picks here. We got Titans and Jaguars. Jaguars are favored by 3 points. Stacey, what do you think on that game? Who do you got?
I think I'm going to have to go with the Titans on this one. I know they've had trouble scoring this season, but I think they're looking for a win. I think the Titans will prevail over the Jaguars. They're 3-6.
Okay. Charlton, what do you got?
You know, I like to see my guy Mariota get another win on the season. I'm going to go with the Titans in that one.
Big C.
Titans have been rolling, and I like Mariota also.
All right, we're moving on. We got the Rams Ravens are -2. You know what? I've got to go with the Rams on this. Stacy.
I'd have to agree with you. I'm going to go with the Rams. The Rams still have one of the best defenses right now, so I definitely would go with the Rams on this one.
Charlton.
And Gurley's also a stud at running back. I love the way he runs the football.
Big C.
The wild card on this game this week will be the quarterback starting for the Rams, Case Keenum, who's a cast-off from the Texans. So, I do like the Rams with that defense that they have, but Case Keenum is going to be the wild card.
All right, now we're moving on to Stacy's neck of the woods, Denver, Colorado. Now, unfortunately, Peyton Manning, they kind of ran him like a workhorse, and he got hurt, unfortunately. So the Broncos are going into this game as a 1.5-point underdog. I'm still, with Peyton out, I'm still going to go with the Broncos.
Oh, you know me, I'm definitely going to go with the Broncos. I think Aqib Talib is back. I think the defense will definitely be stronger. I think we get Osweiler out there. He's 6'7". We give him some more reps. I think Peyton can groom him. I think he'll be a good addition, and I definitely am going with those Broncos.
All right,
well,
Charles?
The Denver defense has been legit all season long, and the Bears only have one win at home this year. That was a last-second field goal versus the Raiders.
All right, speaking of, what, Big C, who do you got on this?
I like the Bears. They hung some points the past couple of weeks. So I like the Bears. Osweiler, coming in off the bench, covering for Peyton, he's not going to have the same offensive fortitude that you've had in the past with Denver.
Right. Now we've got some South Bay people, the Raiders. 4-5.
Win, baby.
Just win, baby. Going into Detroit, which is 2-7. I'm not going to pick against my Raiders here, man. I'm going to pick them. I'm sorry, but they're -2. I'm going to jump up a little bit. I'm going to put them -7. I'm picking the Raiders. Stacy.
I have to say this, and this is my father's team, so I'm going to give a shout-out to my father, Lonnie Harris. But, the Lions, they usually come out late start seasons with a little bit of momentum there. But the Oakland Raiders, you know what? I think they have the better offense. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Raiders.
Okay.
Well, with Crabtree and then Cooper and Carr's playing lights out, they just need some defense. I still worry about the Raiders being able to close. They've had a chance against Pittsburgh. They also had a chance at home against the Vikings. I'm going to go with the Raiders in a close one.
All right, Big C.
This is a tough one to call. Last week, Detroit beat up on Green Bay, but Green Bay did everything they could do to give that game away. I look for the Raiders to get back in stride and, get back in the playoff hunt.
All right, we got coming up next, we got the Colts. They're underdogs, +5.5. At the Falcons. Falcons are 6-3, but they struggled. They struggled against the 49ers, which it boggled my mind. I thought I was in the Twilight Zone when I was watching that game. I'm going for the Colts on this one. Stacey.
I have to agree with you. The Falcons, I consider them to be sort of a fluke team. With Hasselbeck, I think he's a better quarterback, and I would have to agree with you. I'm going to go with the Colts on that one.
All right, Charles.
Julio Jones has 1,029 yards receiving. I don't see the Falcons dropping this game at home. Should be a close game, but I'm going to go with Atlanta to pull this out and get back on track.
Big C.
Well, when you look at the Colts this year, they have 3 victories. Those first 2 victories came with Hasselbeck at quarterback, so he's 2-0 as a quarterback this season. I think I'll ride him one more time and take the Colts.
All right, Redskins at the Panthers. You got Superman at quarterback, and I think not only is he going to do it in the passing game, but he's going to do it with his feet. And you know what? He's probably going to do a little bit bigger celebration this time when he gets in the end zone, just to show people, hey, again, like you said, Big C, you don't want me to get in? Stop me. I'm going with the Panthers. Stacy.
I'm with you, Glenn, on that one. Panthers all day. I mean, we've got Cam Newton. Cam Newton this season is unstoppable. The Redskins, I don't see him doing anything this Sunday, so I'm definitely got the Panthers.
All right.
Well, the sad thing about this game is that Cam Newton's going to do more celebrating, so Trent Dilfer's going to be really upset on the ESPN halftime show, so I'm going to go with the Panthers.
He might cry.
He might cry.
All right, Big C.
Well, he can call in Ray Lewis and they can do a duet.
Hey, there you
go. Steps, starting of a game. But I don't see Kirk Cousins this week throwing 4 touchdowns like he did against New Orleans' anemic defense last week. I do like the Panthers to remain unbeaten and go 9-0 on the season after this game.
All right, you got Cowboys, Dolphins, and you know what? Tony Romo's coming back.
How about them Cowboys?
You know what? How about them Cowboys? I don't know. I think Tony Romo's going to play a little bit scared. He's coming in. This is his first game coming off the injury. Plus, you've got Ndamukong Suh. He's going to want to rip his head off, and I think that's what is going to happen. Cowboys are going to run the ball more. I'm going Dolphins on this. Stacy.
I would have to disagree. I think the Dolphins are actually the mediocre team. I'm going to go with the Cowboys on this one. I know they're 2-7. We've got Romo returning, but mind you, now you got Jerry Jones, and when they tend to start losing, you see that coat come down, and he's on the sideline, so he'll leave that press box and he'll join him. So I'll go with the Cowboys on this one.
We might even see Jerry Jones play quarterback. I think he did that in college.
You never know. You never know.
Razorback.
Hey, it's his money, so money talks, right, Big C?
Well, he said Brandon Weeden threw one of the prettiest balls you ever want to see, and I wonder where he's throwing them now since he cut him 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And but I'm not all that sure about the Cowboys' offense. Tony Romo's going to be a little rusty. He's been off. The game speed is a lot more than practice speed, and the Dolphins have nothing to lose at this point, other than a high draft pick. And I think the Dolphins can pull this one out. The Cowboys have just had no offense, and even with Romo, I don't see them scoring more than 17 points.
Okay, you got Jets at Texans. Texans probably riding a little high from beating an undefeated team. The Jets going in there, though, 5-4. They're 2.5-point favorites. I'm going to flip a coin on this one, but on the flip, I'm going to go heads up with the Jets. Stacy.
I'm with you. I think if Yates starting this game, I think that it's going to be the Jets. I know the Texans will have a little bit of trouble, so I'm definitely with you. There is no coin toss here, though. I'm going with the Jets.
All right, Charlton.
Well, I want to see Watt have a big game, but I'm going to go with the Jets winning this one. They have a better defense, better offense, and it's a game that they should win.
Big C.
Well, guys, I'm going to have to make this unanimous.
All right. All right. Well, let's just move right along with the Buccaneers, Eagles. Oh, man, my boy Murray with the Eagles. I got to go with the OU guy. I can't bet against my man, so I'm going with the Eagles on this one.
The record's the same record here, 4-5. I'd have to say, Tampa Bay's been playing pretty good on the road. I know the Eagles have been playing pretty inconsistently, so my vote, never been a Buccaneers fan, so I guess, you know what, I'm going to hit the Eagles.
Amen, sister.
The Eagles are in a position right now to compete with the Giants for the East. I like Chip Kelly. At least they're exciting offensively. I'm going to go with the Eagles to win that one.
Big C.
I like Tampa Bay. The Eagles are starting Mark Sanchez this week, and he, has not played all season other than last week, and he threw a pick that cost the Eagles the game. So I'm going to go with Tampa Bay. I think Jameis Winston will come out of his funk. He has a couple of big wide receivers. I'm going to go Tampa.
Okay, Chiefs, Chargers. You know what? I might fall asleep on this game. I'm not sure. But yeah, exactly. So I don't really care, to be honest with you. But I'm going to pick the Chiefs. Stacy.
I think the best thing they invented was that good old DVR, so we can kind of fast forward all the plays that we don't want to look at. Chargers are definitely due for a win. I'm a little upset that the Kansas City Chiefs upset my Broncos, so you know what? I'm going to go ahead and go with Rivers on this one.
All right.
I got the Chargers.
Well, the Los Angeles Chargers, they are auditioning for the new stadium in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So it's easier to get there when you have a bad season because there's apathy. I'm going to go with the Chargers on this one.
All right. Big C.
Well, you say Los Angeles Chargers. Ironically, that's where they started their AFL career, was in Los Angeles. They were originally the Los Angeles Chargers. But, I mean, you're looking at two teams that have been highly disappointing in the AFC West. I'm going to go with Kansas City. I don't think what they did to Denver last week was a fluke. Their defense was playing lights out.
All right. Well, you got the Seahawks. They are favored by lucky 13 points. Seahawks have been limping all year long. Russell Wilson doesn't seem like that he knows how to throw to a receiver. That's on his team anyway. You got the 49ers going there. You know what? I'm going to step on a pedestal here and put my neck out. I'm going to go for San Francisco on this one, plus 13. I'm taking the points.
I'm going to have to agree with you, Glenn. Seattle's defense, they have been playing good this year. They've been giving up too many points. I know there's a lot of controversy that's going on surrounding the San Francisco 49ers at quarterback, but I'm going to do the same, and I'm going to get my neck chopped off, but I'm going to go with San Francisco on this
All right, Charlton.
Well, it's awful tough when you're playing against the 12th man, and I know that Seattle's blown some fourth-quarter leads, but they did have leads going into the fourth quarter. The Legion of Boom, they're a little bit banged up right now, but I think the 49ers defense is soft. And if you look at the fact that the 49ers have not scored more than 20 points against Seattle in the last several years, beast mode would be the key to that game. If Seattle's smart enough, and Pete Carroll, let them run the ball more, I think that the Seahawks will win that game.
Big C.
Well, guys, you got to look at what Seattle did in the second half last week against the Cardinals. Even though they lost and the Cardinals dominated the game, they still scored 31 points.
Yes. And
the 49ers, as you spoke about, have not been a high-octane offensive team. They haven't scored 21 points all year long. So going up to Seattle in the Legion of Boom and most likely going to have some rain, I'm going to take Seattle. I don't know about them covering the 13.5 points, Glenn, but I like Seattle.
All right, last game. I think probably one of my favorites is you got the Patriots and the Bills. We got a couple minutes here. Let's Patriots are -7, but you know what? Brady has over twice the amount of yards. He's got 3,043 compared to Taylor's 1,436. Taylor's got 11 TDs to Brady's 24. I think Brady's going to go off. They're -7, but I'm going to double that and take the Patriots -14. Stacey.
You know, I'm with you on that, and I can sum that up in a few words. The Pats don't lose to the Bills.
All right,
Patriots
Charlton.
all day.
Yep.
Speaking of the Bills, you know, there's a lot of money in Tom Brady's pocket, and I think the reason is because he keeps winning.
Yeah.
And there's something about winning that makes people pay you. Unless you're Jerry Jones, you'll just write a check because you have too much money.
Yep.
But I'm definitely going to go with New England, and they're chasing the record Big C of the Miami Dolphins, and I won't be too surprised if they get it.
Now, Buffalo has an outstanding defense. Don't discredit their defense. And Brady has had trouble playing against Rex Ryan throughout his career. The 7.5 points could be tight. Last week they squeaked by 2 over the Giants.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I still like the Patriots in this game. Tom Brady's on a mission. He's waiting to meet Roger Goodell in February.
All right. Well, that's good. That's good. Well, you know what? We are getting ready to go into a commercial break. So, we got about 1 minute left on this. And I just want to mention one thing. Aldon Smith, he's banned for a year.
Yeah.
Substance abuse. The guy had problems, with
He needs some help.
He does. He stated that he just lost the love for football and he made some bad choices. Now, I can't get mad at that because you know what? He's honest.
Yeah.
Now, if he would have tried to cover it up and be like, I didn't know what I was doing, that's a bunch of crap to me, and I'm glad that he's being honest. But you know what, Big C? What do you think about players like him around the league that are getting in trouble like this? I mean, how would you handle it?
Well,
would you suspend him for a year?
I think the rules have been too light on NFL players. I mean, you should be held to a higher standard, not just the players, but management and owners also.
Yeah.
That year's suspension, if you look at this is Alden's third offense in 2 years, 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not about losing the love for football. It's about not having the respect for life.
Okay.
You think about the number of people who would give any and everything they had to be in his position.
Yes.
And he just doesn't care. He doesn't get it. It's not that he lost the love for football. He just doesn't get the meaning of life because he's lost respect for himself and other people.
And I think also there's a lot of people, they make excuses. When you're an athlete, you get a pass. It's a social issue, and I hope that he finds some help. And as we're going to talk about help, everyone knows that if you're in college football and you're talking about the playoffs, we know Big Glenn and Big C, there's a lot of movement and the polls and who should be number 1 and who should be number 4. We're going to talk more college football and the playoffs coming up as we do every Wednesday at 4 o'clock p.m. on Money 105.5.
Hi, folks. Alan Thicke here. Some things in life are just too serious to take chances on, and owing money to the IRS is definitely one of those. The IRS has the power to garnish your paycheck. They can levy your bank account, even take your home or business. Seriously. Thankfully, with one simple call, you can start solving your tax debt once and for all. Optima Tax Relief is the leading tax resolution firm in the nation. They have over 250 professionals. They have an A rating with the Better Business Bureau and the trust of thousands of satisfied clients. Optima's attorneys can immediately protect you from aggressive collections because they are experts in the Fresh Start Initiative. That's a special IRS debt forgiveness program that could save you thousands. Don't wait till it's too late. Get serious. Call Optima now for your free consultation.
Call 800-711-5743. 800-711-5743. 800-711-5743. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Fridays at 2. Lock it into Money 105.5 for the Rush Hour for Success. It's a show dedicated to your success. With information about what's going on in the community, reviews of places to visit around Sacramento, and of course, topics that involve experts in money strategies, business, real estate, and things that matter most in life. Join the walk star himself, Jim T. Chon, plus the theater queen, Cammie Ferry. Get entertained, get educated, and get with a rush for success. Fridays at 2 on Money 105.5.
Sean Davis here, the host of Uncommon Investments and Resources. It's high on everybody's list, a successful retirement. Why is it then that so few people do it right? According to a recent study, fewer than 3% of pre-retirees will be truly financially independent in retirement. It's too important. You have to get it right. That's why I'm going to be talking about the 3 stages of retirement this Saturday. It will be an outline of everything you need to know between the ages of 59 and a half and 80 plus. Please join me this Saturday at 8 a.m. right here.
Here's a Whitaker file, sir.
Carol.
Yes?
Something's changed.
You can feel it?
You used to bring the coffee.
And you used to drink it. We had a great run.
Oh, my. Are you gonna say we're through? How am I gonna find the perfect employee to fill your shoes?
Not so hard. All you have to do is log on to SacramentoHelpWanted.com.
What? Where? Who?
I'll tell you who. SacramentoHelpWanted.com. You can post a job in minutes and start getting resumes immediately and find the perfect local employee.
How am I ever gonna live without you?
Sir, you'll live just fine. Frankly, I am tired of singing 8 hours a day.
Whoa.
The best place to find a qualified local employee? SacramentoHelpWanted.com. Long name, amazing results.
Introducing a new generation of health and wellness, revolutionized and individualized. A company bold enough to ask why to the traditional way, who honors uniqueness of each individual and is committed to redefining the health and wellness industry through unmatched quality. Welcome to ID Life. Take your free ID Life assessment today. You're unique, so don't settle for cookie-cutter supplements. Join the ID Life movement today at pathtowellness.idlife.com. Contact Kim Cassetta, 916-996-1037.
Money 105.5, Money1055.biz. The premier show for all your sports needs. Epic Sports Radio on Money 105.5.
Welcome back to the show. My name is Charlton Curry on Epic Sports Radio every Wednesday at 4 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We are nationwide with the app, and we love talking sports. We have Big C. We'll bring him back in. And also, Glenn, we're going to talk a little bit of college football. We're also going to have Mark from Cal High Sports chime in as we wrap up the college football season. Glenn.
Yeah, you know what? You said nationwide. I just got a tweet from over in the UK, so now we are worldwide, brother.
Worldwide.
Yes, people are listening over in the UK. You know what? We're gonna talk about a few games here. You know what? We're going to talk about Clemson. They are number one. We got to give them that respect. But they're favored by 29 points over Wake Forest. Now, I think that's probably a throwaway game for them. But, again, you don't ever underestimate your opponent. Now, they could be shot. I doubt it. I'm taking Clemson on this one. Stacy.
I could definitely go with Clemson on this one.
Charlton.
Well, Clemson, obviously, they're ranked number one because they beat Notre Dame. And they beat Notre Dame in the rain when they had a backup quarterback. And they were stopped inside the red zone twice. But I don't think Clemson's the number one team in the country. I like the next team, Ohio State. But, Big C, what are your thoughts on Clemson?
Well, this is a game for Clemson that they have to let the voters know that they have voted them right in the first place. So they need to blow away a weaker opponent when they get the opportunity. And I see Clemson winning by at least 5 touchdowns.
All right, 35. Now, okay, we got Ohio State, minus 13.5, Michigan State. Now, I think that might be, Michigan State's been pretty good on both sides of the ball all year long.
Yeah.
I think they're going to give Ohio State a struggle because Ohio State a couple weeks ago struggled. And I think Michigan State on this one, it's going to be a close game, but I'm probably still going to take Ohio State.
Yeah, definitely going to be a close game on this one. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to go with Michigan State.
All right.
My goodness, Ezekiel Elliott. Just give Ezekiel Elliott the football. Urban Meyer hasn't lost a game since they had the home opener last year, and that was when they lost to Virginia Tech. And they're a much better team than people give them credit for. I think Ohio State will not only beat Michigan, that barely squeaked by Oregon at home. I think they'll win by at least 2 points, 2 touchdowns, actually.
Big C.
Ohio State has the longest winning streak in the nation in college football.
Yep.
Urban Meyer woke up last week and realized he had made a mistake throughout this season, and he reinstated J.T. Barrett back at the starting quarterback. And they had their most complete offensive performance last week. Ohio State, forget about the points, Ohio State.
All right, you know what? I'm about to throw up a little bit in my mouth because I got to say this next thing. OSU, Oklahoma State. Oh, there it goes.
How about them Cowboys?
Oh,
Cowboys?
No. You know what? Hey, you know what? That's why, Brandon Weeden, it wasn't a shock to me when he got cut. I mean, he did go to OSU, so hey. But, hey, you know what? I'm joking about that if you're listening, Weeden, so, hey, don't forget about it. Boomer Sooner, though, baby. You know what? Oklahoma State, they're only favored by 1 point over Baylor. I'm taking Baylor all the way on this. I'll never go for OSU. I'm taking Baylor.
I've been a Baylor Bears fan forever, actually. A friend of mine used to coach out there, and I've been cheering for Baylor ever since I was a toddler, so I'm going with Baylor.
All right.
Well, I think Baker Mayfield went in there with the boys from Oklahoma, and they showed Baylor what it's like to play a top football team.
Amen,
and I think Oklahoma State has that same type of style.
Watch your
and
mouth.
I'm going to go with OSU. OSU to win this one.
OS who, maybe.
Big C, what are your thoughts on that one?
Well, when Baylor lost their starting quarterback a couple of weeks ago, Seth Russell, I mean, it made changes in their offense. I mean, they had the best offense in the country. They lost their starting quarterback 2 games later. They lose their first game. Oklahoma State has a lot better defense than what people give them credit for. I'm going to go with Oklahoma State. Plus, they have 2 quality quarterbacks that can play. So Oklahoma
That's
State.
blasphemy, brother. Blasphemy. I'm pulling a line from Stephen A. Smith, man. So hey, Notre Dame.
They're still in Oklahoma somewhere,
Oh yeah, somewhere.
Stillwater, right?
Phone booth.
Yeah, exactly.
There's 2 stoplights in Stillwater.
Yeah. Hey, but I do like Eskimo Joe's in Stillwater, so I'll give a shout out to that. Notre Dame, Boston College, it's going to be played in a very historical place.
Fenway Park.
Yep, and Notre Dame's favored 16.5 points. I'm going Notre Dame all day on this one.
I got to agree with you, Glenn. Notre Dame has the better fan base. Boston College, not so much.
Exactly.
Not this Time.
Well, they've had the great Lou Holtz. They've had Eric Parseghian, Joe Theismann, Joe Montana. They have so many great players over the years, and they have tradition for a reason. I like Notre Dame not only to win this game, but I think they'll be one of the teams knocking on the door for the Final Four at the end of the season, Big C.
I think one of the most underrated players in the entire country is Eric Kaiser, their quarterback at Notre Dame, a true freshman who's had to step in when they lost Zaire earlier in the season at quarterback, and he hasn't missed a stride. As you talked about earlier, the Clemson game, he almost pulled that out.
Yes.
Notre Dame, the college football scene wants Notre Dame in that 14 playoff. College football is better when Notre Dame is on top. Notre Dame by a lot in this game.
Well, we have a guest on the program, and thank you so much for that, Big C. Before we go to the break, we have about 1 minute. We're going to bring in Mark Tennis. He's the owner of Cal High Sports, and they started that in 1974 with his uncle Nelson Tennis. So, Mark, give me your opinion real quick in the next 30 seconds on college football's top 4, and then we'll come back and talk to you about Cal High Sports and how many great players you've seen come through the system.
Sure, Charlton. Thank you very much for having me on. As far as colleges go, I'm sort of a Pac-12 guy. So many California players, go to Oregon and USC and UCLA and Stanford, and the Pac-12 was sort of knocked out of it last week. So I'm a little bit in the dark on some of the other teams, but I am one of those people that also believes that the champion is the champion until they get beat, and that's Ohio State. So I would just look at Ohio State until somebody proves they can beat them. I just had the feeling for a long time they've sort of been kind of holding back a little bit so far this season.
Yes.
Last year they didn't really get rolling until the last 2 games, and so I kind of think they might be doing the same thing again.
Well, wonderful, Mark. I appreciate your input. We're going to take a break real quick, and we'll come back, and we're going to talk high school football on the nationwide level. Mark's worth with ESPN, also student sports, and he runs Cal High Sports. When you hear some of the top players, Mark saw them when they were just in high school. Every Wednesday at 4 o'clock p.m., you can tune into Epic Sports Radio, and we'll be back after the break. Get life insurance in 3 easy steps. California license number 0180132. Number 1, no physical. Number 2, no blood test. Number 3, no medical exam. Qualify for $5,000 or more in final expense. Affordable rates. We cover the VA and seniors. Ask a senior life agent to contact you about retirement, annuities, and a life insurance policy. Call 916-896-5757. Protect the people you love. Call 916 896-5757.
X-Life Powerboards is revolutionizing the way you travel. Our boards are intelligent, innovative, and empowering. These boards feature Bluetooth speaker, 2 motors, Samsung long life battery. They are waterproof and dustproof, and they are faster than most models out there on the market. And you can buy a board for as low as $72 a month. So come join us at X-Life and get a board. Live free, ride free. XLPowerboards.com.
Introducing a new generation of health and wellness, revolutionized and individualized. A company bold enough to ask why to the traditional way, who honors uniqueness of each individual and is committed to redefining the health and wellness industry through unmatched quality. Welcome to ID Life. Take your free ID Life assessment today. You're unique, so don't settle for cookie-cutter supplements. Join the ID Life movement today at pathtowellness.idlife.com. Contact Kim Cassetta, 916-996-1037. At Gamble Insurance Agency, we put the odds in your favor. We handle most or all of your insurance needs and act as your insurance advisor. We will put together a suitable buying strategy with your financial future in mind. We are an independent farmers agency. Call Kit Gamble for a free farmers-friendly review of your insurance policy at 530-772-5041. That is 530-772-5041.
Rescue Sports Water is the first water that has been fused with 50 milligrams of potassium, which can help prevent muscle cramping and more. And it still has that smooth taste. For more information, go to rescuesportswater.com.
Sacramento's Money 105.5. This is Epic Sports Radio on Money 105.5 and Money1055.com.
Welcome back to the show. My name is Charleston Curry with Glenn Spillman, Big C, and we're talking to Mark Tennis with Cal High Sports after Glenn has a statement.
Yeah, I just want to thank one of our sponsors, Sean Allen with X-Life Powerboards. You can contact him at 916-869-6831, or you can go to xlpowerboards.com for more information.
Now, Mark, we know that you've covered a lot of the top players that we see on NFL and college football on a weekly basis. Of course, NBA, you cover everything in the high school scene. California is one of the top states in the country when it comes to high school. But if you can, Mark, I know earlier we talked about Tom Brady, Willie McGinnis, some conversations you had with him, Aaron Rodgers, and then talk about Cal High Sports and your input into college football and some of the big players you've covered over the years.
Well, thanks, Charlton, again for having me on. You know, you mentioned some of them already in your show. You know, Carson Palmer, the quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals, was also a great basketball player at Santa Margarita High School down in Southern California. His last high school event was being in the state championship game in basketball in Sacramento. And he's probably the best quarterback I've ever seen in person for high school. He's the one I measure everybody else after. He was tremendous in high school, and of course he went on to win a Heisman Trophy. And then you get to some of the ones even before that, like I mean, you mentioned Willie McGinnis. He also played basketball. But my favorite Willie McGinnis story is I picked him up in the car when he was in high school for a photo shoot. We were doing a photo shoot with Junior Seau on the beach down in Laguna.
Yes.
And Willie at the time was a senior year in high school, and he was drilling me in the car about how NFL players got paid. He would ask questions like, do they get all the money all at once? They get it. They get it once a month. And well, Willie, they get paid once a month during the season, or once a week during the season. So I'm proud to say I was the first person to explain to Willie McGinnis how NFL players get paid, because of course later on he found out how all they all got paid. So that's one of my favorite stories. And you mentioned Tom Brady.
Yes.
The thing a lot of people would be interested to know about Tom Brady is, you know, his high school team, they were only 4-6. They were not very good. He was very good. He was going to Michigan, but as a prospect, he was a little bit hindered by not being on a very good team.
Yes.
And the interesting thing about Tom is his sister, Maureen Brady, who went to Hillsdale High School in San Mateo. Tom went to Sarah of San Mateo. His sister Maureen was a bigger high school star than he was.
That's amazing.
Maureen Brady was a state record throwing softball pitcher, and then later went to Fresno State. So that's probably the most interesting thing about Tom's high school career is his sister was more well-known than himself. And
thinking back to all the great players you've seen, I first met you back in 1991. Amani Toomer played for De La Salle when they beat Merced down at Merced Stadium 76. and they snapped Merced's winning streak, and that's the following year they went on their 151-game winning streak. So in the next 2 minutes, Mark, talk about Cal High Sports. I know you've done some things with ESPN and Andy Bark down at Student Sports in Southern California. Talk about Cal High Sports in the next 2 minutes, and then how people can follow the work that you're doing.
Well, Cal High Sports right now is its own separate website. It's calhisports.com, and we cover California high school sports in football, boys basketball, girls basketball, baseball and softball. Our preseason rankings and boys basketball just came out yesterday. But, of course, we're all into football as well, and we have the bowl games coming up, and the final games, the final 5 games of the California high school season will be at Sacramento State. So we'll be covering that wall to wall when we get to that point. And right now we're working on those kind of stories, plus all state teams and figuring out state records. And those are all kind of the things we do at calhighsports.com. And we have a lot of ways people can follow us. They just go to the website and check us out. And then, of course, we have different levels of subscriptions, and then these days of age, in this day of age, you have to have subscription content.
Yeah.
So we call ours Gold Club. And for our Gold Club members, we do have things like state records and coaching records.
Wonderful.
And some of our real inside information is for our Gold Club members, and it's still only pennies a day. So people check it out. There are a lot of links on our site at calhighsports.com.
Well, Mark, I know there's excellent coverage that you offer, and in the next minute that we have on the show, I do want to thank you so much for your time. We've had Big C and we've had Glenn. We're talking sports. And, Glenn, do you have a statement?
Yeah, you know what? I want to remind you guys to follow us on all of our social media at Epic News Sports. No matter what it is, check it out. And, for all you people in the Sacramento area, I just want to give a shout-out to a gentleman that's been tweeting us, listening to the show, Jeff Copley with the Appliance Company. Call him at 916-397-0139 for all your needs. Again, follow us on social media. We're still looking for that $100 million for our movie next year. We'll see you next week.
$100 million every Wednesday, 4 o'clock p.m. on Money 105.5. You can follow Epic News Sports and Epic Sports Radio. Again, Charlton Curry, Glenn Spillman, Big C. We'll see you next week, and enjoy football this weekend.